Up next, we have Mrs. Robinson, and she comes to us from the TRICARE sector of San Diego. So, Ms. Robinson, and I'm gonna be easy. She's gonna give you a direction. It's over on the dry side, where the big commissary is at. You look up on the hill. It's in one of those older buildings. Just drive up there and keep asking, where's TRICARE? I'm here to help you, so I hope you got better direction. You want me to lower it?
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, short presenter. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for letting us come talk to you. My name is Shenoa Robinson, and I work for United Healthcare Military and Veterans, which is one of the TRICARE contractors. We're the contractor for the West region. I wanted to make a couple of other quick introductions. At our TRICARE table, which is on the right, I have a colleague, Wendy Pritt, who's also here answering questions as we speak, and also Mr. Jeff Apana. Jeff, if you can wave at everyone. Jeff came out just to see all of you this evening. He is the department head for patient relations at Naval Medical Center San Diego. So if you have ever had any questions, any issues with services available at any of our military clinics, or you wonder what's available, Jeff wanted me to convey how much our command at Balboa appreciates all of you, everything you do, and he's here to answer any questions that you have. So with that, let's roll. One thing that it's important to keep in mind with TRICARE is the breakdown of our TRICARE regions. There are different contractors or healthcare companies that manage TRICARE depending on the location, and we are in the West. I would like for everybody, if you get a chance, to please come pick up a card that you can keep in your wallet that has all of the TRICARE phone numbers, also dental and pharmacy, which we'll talk about as well. But depending on your location, you might work with different companies that assist with your TRICARE. Everything with TRICARE starts with DEERS. So I'm sure all of you are very familiar with DEERS, but we're talking about the system inside of the PSD office. So especially before deployment, you want to make sure all of your eligible family members are in DEERS so that they have access to their TRICARE benefits. We also have this contact information that you can come pick up. For any of you that may be having any new little ones arriving during the deployment, you want to make sure to get one of those powers of attorney that Lee will talk to you about to make sure that they can add the new baby to DEERS and then do the TRICARE enrollment after that. So you'll notice at the bottom, of course, you need to update DEERS with any status change, marriage, new baby, etc. Make sure to let DEERS know so that you can have access to all of your medical benefits. And there are different options. So a big part of the reason that we're here is we want to assist, especially our family members, our spouses, with understanding that you have some choices when it comes to your health care. For our spouses, there are two different programs. Our family members can choose between Prime and Standard. Prime is the one that's free for active duty family members, but you have to actually enroll for that one. Again, if you have any questions about what's available in San Diego, we can talk to you about that. You can enroll now by calling the contractor, so we will definitely be happy to answer any questions you have. Next slide. Next slide, please. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the big thing to keep in mind with Prime is it's what we call managed care. So that just means that there's some rules that you want to keep in mind. We have some really good handouts that talk about this, whether you're going to be traveling or possibly moving. If you're traveling, you want to make sure that you contact your doctor back home. TRICARE calls that your PCM, to coordinate care for you when you're out of area. Of course, if it's an emergency, you're going to go to the closest ER and then call your doctor after that. If you're going to be actually moving during the deployment, you want to think about transferring your enrollment so you have access to all of your basic health care wherever you'll be going. And again, we'll be happy to answer any questions for you about that or what might be available if you're thinking of going to a particular area. And then the other option is what we call the basic entitlement. So when a family member gets that brand new ID card, they have a program called TRICARE Standard. This one allows more direction toward the civilian healthcare providers, but you actually pay out of pocket for this one. And we do have some information about that that gives you all the costs. There's also different options for pharmacies, so hopefully everyone's aware if you're close to a base like we here in San Diego, you can take your prescription to a base, even from a civilian healthcare provider, and they'll fill that for you at no cost. There's also a great option for home delivery where our pharmacy contractor called Express Scripts will actually send those prescriptions that you take every month, they call those maintenance medicines, right in the mail to your house. And then the last option is what we call retail network, meaning going to a community pharmacy out in town. You just want to be careful to make sure that the pharmacy you choose is in the TRICARE network. One helpful tip is to keep in mind whether it's a healthcare provider, a pharmacy, a dentist, anyone who has a contractor is in the network is always going to be a less expensive cost to you. So when you go out of network, for example, for pharmacy, instead of paying a $5 or $17 copay, you end up paying 50% of the bill. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is, if you're not sure if a pharmacy chain takes TRICARE, you can check with Express Scripts. Most big chain pharmacies do currently, with the exception of Walgreens right now. Another part of our benefit is what we call behavioral health or mental health. So for our family members, they can actually refer to a provider as long as they're part of our network, meaning they have a contract. And there's also a variety, a lot of services for TRICARE that are available to support our families. We have case managers for families who have complex medical issues. There's also going to be a lot of communications coming out. We have changes to some programs for children with autism. There's a new program coming out called the Comprehensive Autism Care Demonstration. So to keep up with all of that stuff, a good site to visit periodically is tricare.mil, where you can get any breaking policy updates. And there is also a cap on what you pay out of pocket. So we don't want our family members paying too much out of pocket for medical services. So the most that you pay for your TRICARE covered services is $1,000 per year for our active duty families. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of comfort to know that you won't be potentially paying lots and lots for your medical coverage. And then finally, a big thing that comes up quite often is please don't forget that dental requires a totally separate enrollment. It's not automatic. So in the middle, the TRICARE dental program for our family members is through a company called MedLife. We brought lots of brochures on that. So if the sponsor calls, you can actually enroll over the phone is the most convenient way. So you definitely want to make sure your family's enrolled for dental coverage before the deployment because it's a totally separate enrollment from your TRICARE enrollment. And then each contractor has a website. So for United Healthcare, this is what ours looks like. You can go online and create an account so you can see your claims, referrals, and we have a handout to walk you through creating your own account online. And then, as I mentioned, TRICARE.mil has a site as well where you can find a ton of TRICARE information. They just launched a new feature called I Want To, where you can go on there and indicate what you're trying to do, and it will link you to the appropriate site. And then, as we mentioned, of course, we've talked about lots of different companies and contractors, right? We have TRICARE Medical, Dental, Pharmacy. So please don't forget that we have lots of information for you. And CMC was mentioning the TRICARE service centers. Those actually did close on March 31st stateside to walk-in service. I hear that we have lots of people still coming to 32nd Street looking for us over there. So I want to let you know that most things are going to be either over the phone or online. If you do need information, education on healthcare benefits, we do have at Naval Medical Center what are called health benefits advisors in Building 2 that can help with benefit information. Keep in mind though, certain things like enrollments and those types of things still have to be handled by the contractor. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of that as well. And that is it for me. Thank you all again so much for everything you do. We really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you later.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Any questions for Ms. Robinson? Okay, well, your well-being is very important to all of us, and that's why we bring our TRICARE course. Additionally, I'm going to introduce you to our ship site. Dr. Lewis is going to come up here and share with you some other concerns as well.
How you guys doing? Still hanging on out there? Lieutenant Commander David Loomis. I'm the psychologist here on the ship. A little bit of trivia. Aircraft carriers are the only ships in the Navy that have dedicated mental health assets. Some of the other ships are asking for them, but it hasn't become a permanent thing yet. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something you're already experiencing, which is the stress of preparing for and going through deployment. I was surprised by the number of hands that went up for the first-time deployers or family members of first-time deployers. So this will definitely be pertinent for you. And what I want to talk about is what the Deployment Health and Family Readiness Group are calling the emotional cycles of deployment. And they've set up 7 stages. I'm going to talk about the first 4. First one begins with pre-deployment, and they call it the anticipation of departure. During this time, we've been doing the workups, doing trainings, we've had times away. It's getting used to the idea of some of the anticipation. There can be a little bit of denial, kind of, it's not coming here yet, or it's, still down the road, I don't want to think about it too much. Or maybe you're thinking about it a lot. A lot of tasks going on. Obviously, the presenters today have been talking about all the different things that you need to be thinking about or doing if you haven't already done so. And so there's a lot of tension building up in relationships about getting things done, trying to figure out all the financial planning, the legal planning, those types of things. You're more likely to be a little more emotional than you typically are. So even if you're an even-keeled person, you're probably going to be a little more edgy, maybe a little more reactive to things. You're also probably going to be arguing more as a couple than you were previously or than you typically do. This is normal, something that most couples go through. One of the reasons for the arguing in some of the more debating discussions is it creates some emotional distance, and it starts to prepare you for separating and letting go of that loved one when they're going to be going forward. One of the things that Fleet and Family, Kendra of Fleet and Family talked about and spent a lot of time talking about is communicating. Talking with your family member, your husband, your wife, your significant other, including your children. The more planning, the more talking you can do about expectations, about how you want things to be done, the less tension, the less stress there'll be down the road. Particularly with your children. Those of you who have children, there are some really good resources that we can get passed to you on how to talk to children of various ages. They have different needs. But what you want to talk with them about is what you do in the Navy, what your job's going to be when you're away. how you plan to stay in touch with them in ways that you're going to be able to do that. Particularly for older children, the new roles and responsibilities they might have while you're away, and actually assigning them things to do, making them feel like they're a part of this mission and helping to keep the family together while you're gone. If you haven't done so already, I hope you're making plans to spend some quality time with your family members. This will create some recent memories for them so that while you're away, they have something fun and nice to think about while you're gone. One other thing that you might want to do is, particularly for younger children, but even for your older ones, is exchange sentimental items. That can be something like a t-shirt or a pillow or a hat, but just something, children really like things that are tangible, that are concrete, that they can hold on to. And it's something good for them when they're missing you, when they're sad, that it's your presence that's there with them continually. The second stage we talk about is detachment and withdrawal. And that's as we get closer to actually leaving within a week or two before we get underway. There's even more pulling away and more emotional distance in the relationship is typical. Last minute tasks increase the stress. You're feeling conflicted about making the most of the time you have left, but also not wanting to, still trying to make that separation. The increased tension may decrease some of the physical intimacy, and that may cause some conflict. And one of the tendencies is that people stop sharing their thoughts and feelings. So part of that separating, part of that breaking away. Again, if you're going through that, or if you experience that, understand that it's normal, it's typical, it's what most couples go through when they're starting to go through this. Third stage is emotional disorganization, and this is for the family members that are staying behind. You're going to be taking on new roles and responsibilities, taking care of things that maybe you weren't used to taking care of. You're used to having another person around, even if you were used to taking care of them. And so you're going to start feeling sort of lost, maybe confused, conflicted. Routines are going to be disrupted. It's going to take some time to establish new routines. You may start feeling overwhelmed with your new responsibilities. It's a time where you may be feeling numb without a purpose. This is usually short-lived the first couple of weeks. The quicker you can establish routines, the quicker you can connect with support systems that you hopefully have set up in place or are setting up in place. That transition will be much easier if you're able to do that. Again, with all the planning that we've talked about, the more planning, the more things that you and your significant other can take care of before they leave, the easier that transition will be. The fourth stage is recovery and stabilization. So you'll get through the tough time, the disorientation, the feelings of numbness. Eventually you'll realize that you've got it. You've got this, you've got things under control, you're managing, things are sort of developing a new normal. New routines have been established, you're feeling more comfortable with your roles. You're also starting to feel more hopeful, more confident in what you're doing, and you're kind of just getting in the groove. And that lasts for the most of deployment. The other stages come in as we're returning from deployment, and I'm going to save those for the return and reunion brief when we get back, or when we're on our way back. Everyone experiences things slightly differently based on your own personalities and your relationships. You may find that you don't experience much of this, or not to a significant degree, or you may find that you have difficulty in each of these. If you're finding that you're having difficulty, there are definitely lots of resources. Sleeping Family's already been up here talking. The Ombudsman, Chaplain Disbury is going to be up shortly and is going to expand more on the resources that are available to you. But don't try and go through this alone. Make use of the resources. Use each other as you are getting through this. There's lots of online resources for how to cope with deployment, with being away from family members, and particularly how to deal with kids and help them get through deployments. One website in particular is called Military Kids Connect. I'm going to pass information to the Ombudsman, and they're going to be able to get that out to the families so they have the actual websites. But there's some really good resources out there. So make an effort to reach out to your kids and help them get through this difficult time as they're letting go of mom and dad, loved ones as we go. And that's all I have.